Hey, you summoned a lesser maker. Today, I have something really interesting for you guys. I messaged I Build It because I saw a ton of their Instagram ads, and I said I was really interested to see how this stacked up against my own stuff. They were super kind, they were really cool people, and they sent me one of these for free so that I can modify it for Mordheim. Oh, thank God. Okay, so one of the things that I was worried about was that I would have to punch out each one of these holes. I've had a laser cut kit where they didn't do that, and oh, thank the Lord. Yeah, so they've punched out all the little stuff, or they burned it out. Okay. Oh, hey, look, instructions. Oh, could you imagine? Look at that, dude. All right. Okay, so the game plan right now. Let's build it as intended, and then we'll modify it after.
This Creaky Timbers kit was really nice to work with. If I were to give it a comparison, I would compare it to like Lego and maybe Warhammer, like kit assembly, because you have to find the thing on the sprue and then assemble it like as instructed. So I would say that if you assembled models, this is not much different, except for it's wood instead of plastic. This kit, it's instructed that it doesn't need any tools or any glue. And as far as the tools, I would still recommend that you get an X-Acto blade, because sometimes when you miss a peg or like you don't get it in them like the right way, it kind of mushrooms out and it won't fit in the slot anymore. So you gotta like trim it flat and then try it again. That did not happen very much for me because the tolerances on this kit were so good. But everything else on this kit, like I would say glue isn't necessary. So that part of the kit instructions is correct. The other thing that you should probably be aware of is that it does take a little getting used to, like how each part like kind of connects. It kind of does a circular motion where you do one side at a time and you work your way around it. Like after you get to second or third level, get a rhythm for it and it goes a lot faster. Overall, this kit took me no more than 3 hours to assemble as intended. I didn't want to stop halfway through and like kind of take a break from it. I wanted to actually get it done, and it was something I enjoyed doing. You can see here how good the friction fit is. I was able to pick that up and everything stayed connected to it.
Wow, that's crazy.
Now I'm working on the roof. This is probably the most complicated part because there's moving parts and stuff. If I were to give a recommendation for this, I would do all the shingles and windows while it's flat so that you have the table to push against while you're shingling. That would make it a little easier to push those pegs through. I was able to get it done. An X-Acto knife kind of applies the pressure in the right spot too, so it doesn't like push the peg through. It pushes the shingle in, if that makes sense. Sorry if that, yeah. Yeah, and so after 2.5 hours, 3 hours, it's all done. I'd just like to take a quick second to thank my Patreon members, Leroy, Moonbad, and Feder. You guys are so great. Thank you. My Patreon has a ton of free STLs and templates, and I keep that free because of my Patreon members. So if you would like to help fund the channel, the other way you can do it is order a t-shirt. All right, so now we're going to modify this thing. I'm adding some 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter square dowels in between each level just to add a bit of height and structural integrity, because we're going to be blowing a hole right through this thing, like a meteor or some weird stone or a spell just cast a hole right through it. So we're using some super glue and these dowels to just kind of add that extra verticality to this thing. It'll also make it a little closer to the height of my other buildings as well. And then we're just using some clippers to cut apart parts of the model. I started out with these wire cutters, and then I moved over to these tin snips and in between the wood flooring and just separating those out. And then I tried to pull them out individually. It didn't work out for this level, but I did do it for the other ones, and especially in the corners. So we're gluing on these side structures. What I'm planning on doing with this is we're cutting away the stucco layer and then cutting out the second layer, which is the wood timbers. We're having the wood timbers stick out beyond the stucco. In my mind, the wood is more structurally sound than the stucco would be. Also, the wood timbers have a lot more detail than the stucco, so I want more of that to be there as well. If you've liked this kit so far, why don't you check I Build It a little further. There are several links in the description for their Instagram, for their second Kickstarter that's on Gamefound now. It's already been funded. And there are a lot of different options that you can check out that I just can't fit in a video. That's in the description. Like I said, these are nice guys. Let's do nice things for nice people. So thanks again. Now we're working on the roof, and I decided that one side would have no stucco at all, and then the other side would have some stucco, but with some pieces torn out of it. Then I'm gluing on the roof and the shingles all in one go for one side, and then you can see me breaking apart the other side. And then I'm adding a lot of super glue here because I don't want this part to fall apart. And that's just adding the structural integrity to there. And it's reaching all the way across. And then I have these fences that I like to put on the top of my houses. That's just an added detail that I 3D printed, and that STL is free on Patreon if you're interested in downloading that. Now we're just going to paint with a bit of red. This weirdly matched the terracotta look for the shingles, but I'm going to be painting the shingles green, and I felt like this would be a great contrasting color for that. So it's weird that it matched the shingles, but it wasn't intentional. So I'm doing this, I'm painting this over wherever there's damage, and then on the brickwork, I wanted to make it look like the windows were streaking, and on this corners where it's kind of puzzling together, I wanted to kind of unify those parts so that it looked like it was one piece and not kind of puzzled together. I took a dark wood speed paint and mixed it with a bit of water for the wood flooring, and then I kind of dabbed that everywhere and put it where the stucco would be. Blended that in between the stucco and the brown with a bit of tan later. And then I just painted my roof green. Every terrain piece on my boards have a green roof. due to some fictitious HOA laws. And there you have it. Here it is. And it's, I feel really bad tearing this thing apart, but I did let them know, and I hope these guys really like it. So, yeah, so let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think this thing looks really great, and it's going to look great on the Mordheim board as well. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys. Subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. And right now I'm planning out a 1,000 subscriber terrain board. So once we hit that milestone, I'm going to start assembling some buildings for that. So thank you so much again, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.